The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Live tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, it's the United Sim Racing B and C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series here for tonight's Myrtle Beach 200 laps of jam-packed here at this short track tonight. I'm Austin Coop here in the booth with Kyle Barnes and Cisco Scaramuza in the production trailer just to our left or right, whichever you virtually feel it is necessary to see it. Kyle, this is a track that you're very, very familiar with, as you have a league that runs in the Wednesday night league, or on our Wednesday night coverage. Now being a spectator, you're going to be seeing it completely from the outside in, and we'll kind of get your words on it throughout the night. But this track in particular, you've obviously fancied it. Otherwise, you would not have chose that to be your track of choice for the simulation series. But for this series in particular, with the more current trucks, what do you see happening tonight, and what makes Myrtle Beach so special?
It's going to be extremely interesting tonight, Coop. You know, when we run on Wednesday nights, we normally average between 10 to 15 trucks. But tonight, these guys are going to jam-pack around 30 of them on here with a new style. So faster, harder to handle in the corners, so it's definitely going to put on one hell of a show. But it also can definitely be a disaster if these guys go out here and don't use their heads.
So far, we've got 10 drivers making qualifying laps, with Jimmy Walker being at the top. He was also at the top of tonight's practice session as well, so that's really important to know. He also has one win on the season, as it's been kind of a dominant performance between Justin Michael, Seth the Merchant, and Christian Peterson. And as of late, Greg Mall. And those last two, Christian Peterson and Greg Mall, we keep talking about them every week, but they're really important to note that those are drivers who have come into this series late and are trying to get themselves into the chase format. Let's take a look at your points here, as Seth the Merchant is currently in the points lead with 300 points above Aaron Bennett. Now, Aaron Bennett had the points lead by a pretty convincing manner, but he had to plow some snow, I think. So he will now sit in second place. And then you've got Jamie Walker or Seth the Merchant, Aaron Bennett. Jamie Walker will sit in third, Scott Simley fourth, and you've got Rich Jetty, who sits solidly still in fifth place with Justin Michael sixth, Matt Mara seventh, Chris Gibbo, Scott Hermosa, and Mark McCurry will round out your top 10 with about a minute and a half left here tonight. Kyle, I know this series is fairly new to you, but you do know a few faces here in this group. I know you know Peterson and the 57 of Seth the Merchant, but there's going to be a lot of people who you don't know, and that if anyone maybe you slightly know, anyone you think in particular that has a good shot at winning this one.
Well, every time I've watched this series, Jamie Walker's been one that's been towards the top of the board, so I expect him to do very well, along with Justin Michael. Tommy Ryan, Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, like you said, I'm very familiar with them, so I expect them to do well. But this place is a wild card, most certainly on the schedule, so it's going to be interesting to see who capitalizes and saves their stuff here.
About a minute left in the session for qualifying, and I do believe that Cisco had the right graphic up, and I think I was reading an old points deal there, so we will we'll get that figured out here in a little bit. But I still believe Aaron Bennett is not your points leader because he was not here. He was not there last time, but nonetheless, there's going to be this is going to definitely change the picture of what the playoffs is for these drivers to chase. And I will tell you that whenever it comes to this series in particular, only the top 12 drivers can make it, and it's going to be a pretty close cut line here as we go on through the night. Qualifying looks to be over after 10 minutes They only got 1 lap to do it. It's a pretty interesting call there because they've usually had 2 laps. So 1 lap here tonight, on only 10 drivers were able to make laps. Either they were disqualified or they just didn't make a lap. So we'll go through the running order. And it looks like Jamie Walker will get tonight's pole with a 19.254. It's a pretty blazing lap. It was not as good as his practice lap though, but it probably was used with a little bit less rubber and wear on the track. Tommy Ryan will start to his outside. He's had some really good qualifying runs in the series, but has not had a run to back it up. He hopes to change that today. Justin Michael starts there with Matt Mara 4th, Chris Gaveau 5th, Joshua Banks will start in the 6th position with Bobby Terrell starting 7th. Michael Atkins Jr. will start 8th. The 9th starts Aaron Bennett and Dwayne Duns to his outside. Christian Peterson 11th. Randy Tetzer will start 12th. Scott Simley 13th. Tim Matthews, he will start from the 14th position. Greg Mall will start on row number 7 and 15th. And then you've got Brian Cutts in 16th. Michael Priester will start from 17th. Rich Jetty starts from the 18th position. And you've got John Jenkins, George Hendricks starting in the 10th row. And then you've got these guys on back to the back. 21st, Robert Gillenwater, Jeff Ryan, Louis Robinette, Randy Yoakum, Scott Formosa, Stephen Herring, and Seth the Merchant will start dead last. I'm pretty uncertain why that is because it should be by iRating order, but I'm completely unaware of why that is. But these drivers, they will get going here in just a second. Looks like the A7 has already gotten ready. He's already kind of jumping a little bit on the gun, and we have the pace car going. So looks like here for this Myrtle Beach Speedway, we'll get a little bit of a caption here for you for the night. Half mile, 0.538 miles, 13 degrees in the turns, and 4 degrees in the front, and 3 degrees in the back. I'll talk about this front straightaway in particular. This is definitely one that is different to a lot of short tracks.
It's definitely one that can catch you off guard. You can run all the way next to the grass, or you can run up against the outside wall. There's so many different grooves that you can use here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. But the real killer for these guys tonight is probably going to be that backstretch wall. It angles out a little bit, about halfway down, and if those guys get up into it at all, it's just going to suck their truck right up into it, and they're probably going to go around.
We've seen that happen multiple times in the Wednesday night series, Kyle's Wednesday night series, that is, to be exact. But it looks to be that we will have the pace car coming down this time by, and Jamie Walker will get the green flag to start our 200-lap race. Going to be about a 100-mile race, one of our shortest races of the year. Jamie Walker gets the green flag, and we are green flag here at Myrtle Beach. You get a great start, and Tommy Ryan will be on the outside of, oh, looks like the 87 of Justin Michael is going real fast, real early, bumps the 6 out of the way, and he will already take hold of second. And then Matt Mara to his inside, he will also try and take advantage of that little mishap and try and get third here as we complete the first lap of competition.
Yeah, it looks like Joshua Banks back there in 5th also had a little bit of contact there with Matt Mara. This is something that these guys are going to have to pay attention to on these restarts. At a short track like this, it's going to be absolutely wild throughout the night.
Side-by-side action all over the track. First one is going to be with Tommy Ryan on the outside. Outside, we've seen to be quite an aggressive, but quite a fast place to be. You're going to see these trucks start to really slide up the corners with how heavy they are. That battle still rages on for 3rd place. Tommy Ryan edging forward just a little bit as he's able to drive just a little deeper in the corner. But we will have our first caution of the night, Kyle. It looks like it's going to be in the back stretch, and we have one blown engine. I think that might be Greg Mall. He does not need this. Actually looks like he's able to keep going, but we will get a replay on this one here, is trying to take a look at exactly what happened. But looks like it happened all in front of him, actually, and looks like it's going to be a big pile of mess in turn 3.
Oh yeah, it looks like Bobby Terrell coming off of turn 2 just got a little bit tight on him and drifted up into the 5 of Chris Gaveau. Very unfortunate. It's real early in the race to be pushing this hard, but these guys are trying to get all the positions that they can, so it's something that we got to expect throughout the night. And you know, you just hate to see these other guys get caught up in it.
The Rainbow Warrior number 5 of Chris Gaveau will... Actually, I think that one is the top Terry Labonte inspired paint scheme, so scratch that last one because he's in the number 5 for this truck. So that will bring out our first caution of the night. We did kind of expect this, Kyle, but there's also not a lot of room at a track like this. And when we start looking throughout the field, we're going to start noticing some big changes. You know, the first, of course, with Chris Cabot going from 5th place to 26 in just a very short amount of time. Also want to note Seth Merchant did not start this race. Don't know if he plans on getting into the sim and getting in the truck, but currently that is why he was last to grid, is just because he's not even, doesn't look like he's around, and I don't even think he's connected to it. So perhaps he's having other issues aside from being on the sim. We'll take a look at the top 10 as they stop right as they are right now. Jamie Walker currently sits in fourth with Justin Michael second, Tommy Ryan third, Matt Mara fourth, and Joshua Banks at your top 5. Atkins Jr.'s come up a couple spots, so has Aaron Bennett. Remember, all these guys actually are going to get a position because the driver in 5th starting position is now in the pits and probably the garage here soon. But Scott Simley's got himself a few positions along with Randy Tesser, who's got himself up to 10th. They're already double file here, Kyle. The cautions are short, as we know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, right here on this restart, it's going to be interesting. As we've seen on that initial start, Justin Michael already being aggressive down into turn 1 on the green flag, drifted up into Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan and him are going to switch spots here, so it's going to be interesting to see how Tommy treats this going into turn 1.
Old battles we remember from Jamie Walker and Justin Michael last season, and this is one of the first times we will see them side by side, but not for long. Great start once again from the 88 and the 6 as well. Tommy Ryan gets a great start, and like you said, he's now in the same position but flip-flop. But I don't think he'll be able to clear him quite yet. Still side-by-side for second place. And a lot of side-by-side position. Oh, the 87! I don't know if that was contact, Kyle. I didn't see any, but there's going to be 3 wide and another caution down there in turn number 3 and 4. Looks like there's going to be some big contact. It looks like maybe Randy Yoakum was involved.
Yeah, big contact in the back, but man, that really averted a disaster going down into turn 1. These guys were 3 and 4 wide off of turn 4 with Justin Michael getting loose going down into turn 3. Wasn't sure that there was any contact, but I think that caution was really a saving grace for all those guys from 4th on back, because it was about to be an absolute disaster in turn 1.
Looking at the replay, looking at Lewis Robinette getting into the corner a little too hot, and it actually really wasn't that bad of an accident, but it did get him to spin 360 degrees right there, which will end up getting us the caution. Looks like the 4 of Robert Gillenwater, who's had a pretty decent season so far. He got sideways, and I think he was actually able to save it. So it was a good save by him. The 30 goes around, and actually looks like the 93 of Rich Jetty. I thought that was actually Randy Yoakum, which is not. Rich Jetty, who will continue to survive. Now, we have had kind of 2 tracks this season, Kyle. We had Lucas Oil earlier. That was one of those oddball tracks that we were not expecting on the schedule, that we were seeing this season, and they're kind of starting the same way, having a couple cautions to begin with. The Lucas Oil was pretty consistently under caution, and this race could very well be the same. However, we're going to see that if they continue to have these issues, there will be a lot more cars in the pits and in the garage after this many laps, and there will be less cars to wreck after a certain point.
Yeah, and I think this is just really a product coming down to people that are wanting to go towards the front. Some are wanting to go towards the back. You know, they just have totally different opinions on how they want to run this race. So everybody's just trying to get where they want. I mean, when you only have 9 or 10 cars qualify, this is pretty much what you're going to get. You got a lot of fast guys towards the back of the field that are going to be moving their way up. Going to be making some aggressive moves. So it's not something that we probably didn't expect to see here, but I'm sure these guys are going to get it together and cooler heads prevail, let cooler heads prevail, excuse me, as we go on through the race, and I expect us to get some green flag racing here pretty soon.
Well, clear skies there for the few up front. Jamie Walker has led every single lap and has really perfected the starts of this race. Has got himself at least a truck length lead before getting into turn number 1, and then the battle for second starts to rage on, and he's able to continue to do that. It looks like we have a 2 to go, and we'll get the 1 to go this time by from the pace car. These are going to be a lot shorter caution laps from Lucas Oil, so if we do get a spurt of cautions, they'll at least be a little bit shorter than what they were at Lucas Oil. However, I do not expect us to be under that as many cautions as then. But Jamie Walker continues to lead, led all 12 laps so far, and the pace car will come down once more Looks like a little switcheroo again. Looks like Tommy Ryan's now on the end or on the outside. Matt Maher is going to be starting in third, and then Justin Michael's going to be starting where he actually started the race. There in fourth place. Here goes Jamie Walker, and the number 6 of Tommy Ryan actually doesn't get that bad of a start right there. He might actually be contesting for him on the outside. Look at the number 6 go. It won't work for now, but it was a valiant effort right there as he is close to the number 88. There goes Tommy Ryan still in second, and the battle rages on behind them 2 by 2, many positions back. It looks like it's third place, what we're looking at right now, but the 6 of Tommy Ryan had a great start. It's what he needed, and he figured it out.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an awesome start by Mr. Ryan up there in second place. And Walker's seen it. Just pushed up just ever so slightly. Ryan had to get out of the gas. Oh, but it looks like Ryan's going to drift off the track this time. It's going to allow Justin Michael to get to his inside along with Matt Maher. Looks like Ryan's going to fall all the way back to 5th and try and fall back in line here.
Ryan's having a problem of some sort because he's in the outside wall of turn number 1 and 2. He went from second, and he's already passed out of the top 10 right now, and I think he might have just disappeared right there, so I'm unsure what is going on with his sim or something, but he is currently, I don't see him out there anymore, so we'll continue to look forward for the second position, which will be between Justin Michael and Matt Mara, which was easily dealt with by the number 87 of Justin Michael. He had an okay practice session. He did not have the fastest truck in practice, but he is doing some work right now. He's actually one of the faster trucks on the speedway, but there will be another caution that will slow us down, and I don't see a car around, so I will have to see. It sounds like the 04 Brian Cutts. It was so quick that he already had gotten into the pits, but it looks like his truck just he just stopped on the track, and that's going to cause a caution every time, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. He may just have been trying to give some room to the guys to his inside. Didn't think that he was going to make that corner, but it does look like he reset immediately to the pits. So pretty interesting. We'll have to see if we can get word on what happened there, but haven't heard anything yet.
One of the first times we're seeing this is pit stops. You want to mention Tommy Ryan fell out of the sim, so I don't know whether that was by choice of ripping out his Ethernet cable or whether it was a common coincidence. Nonetheless, these drivers are coming down pit road, and this will change the aspect of this race. 2 4 tires. Kyle, what do you think they're going to do?
I would probably do 4 here. I mean, it's lap 20, but these guys are definitely being hard on these tires on these restarts, sliding up the track. So it looks like the top 3 here are going to go all 4 around. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody in the back goes 2, but it doesn't look like it. But we did have a few of them stay out and try and get some track position out front.
That's right, and it looks like it. I think that is the number 8 of Randy Yoakum. He's going to be trying to get some laps back here, and Tommy Ryan has now re-entered the track, so he will also try and get those laps back. But he's 3 laps down, probably 4 right now. And the 2 drivers that we're going to talk about, the 2 that stayed out, look to be Tim Matthews and Michael Atkins Jr. When you look at where Tim Matthews started, Keith, that's not a bad. I don't think that's a bad deal for him. He goes from the 7th row all the way to the very front, and he'll be able to control his destiny by starting the race. However, for Michael Atkins Jr., he was only 6 spots behind where he is now. May not be paying off so much, but he might think it otherwise, as Jamie Walker now slides into 3rd.
Yeah, I don't know. This may be a strategy call from Tim Matthews to get some bonus points. I'm not sure if they have any lead lap bonus points here at USR, but if they do, you know, Tim's sitting right around that cut line, only 2 positions up above it. So every point matters in a series like this, and you really got to pay attention and try and get everything you can. So if he can hold on up here up front, maybe get another quick caution, go down, get his own set of tires, I think he's going to be all right.
While we pace, go through the top 10 here. Tim Matthews currently leads, and you've got Michael Atkins Jr., Jamie Walker, Justin Michael, Matt Mara, and then the rest should kind of look similar. Joshua Banks, then Christian Peterson. We finally talk about him for the first time in this race. He's so far survived catastrophe. Scott Simley 8th, Scott Formosa 9th, and he's gone from 25th to 9th. That's a big move so far as we go double file here, Kyle. Even at a short track, even through pit strategy, that's a lot of positions despite even having this many cautions.
Absolutely. He's been really smart about making his way through the accidents. And it looks like he's got a really stout car. He was doing some pretty good laps in practice, so it's going to be interesting to see how this restart goes. But these guys are going to have to be careful with the front two having stayed out on old tires. Wheel spin may be a factor here.
Indeed, it might with the heavy trucks. And when will Tim Matthews go? He goes really early, which might actually be good for the rest of the field to get spread out. And he gets himself a 2-truck length lead. And Jamie Walker is not going to let this opportunity slide. You can see the difference in tires already, Kyle, as the 2 is already ways back. And Tim Matthews is really only holding the lead because he started it. And Jamie Walker is already on his back bumper. Kyle, 4 tires. You were right. That is the way to go, as Jamie Walker is looking to the inside to take the lead back, as he's not led for a couple of laps. He's still on the inside trying to make that pass work, and with the tires to his advantage, he continues to pounce on the inside, but he does not have the position yet. The 54 is still staying strong on the outside. I think this will do it just right here. He won't get the lap, but I think Jamie Walker will have the momentum here coming into this turn.
Yeah, Jamie Walker looks like he's about to clear him coming off turn 2, and in fact he will. I wasn't expecting these tires to be that much of a difference maker, but Myrtle Beach is notorious in real life and in the sim for burning your rubber up really quick. I mean, in real life you can lose a tenth just pushing down pit road, so these guys are going to have to watch what they're doing, and it looks like Justin Michael got a little bit loose going down in turn 1. He really needs to be careful and take care of his stuff here. We got a long ways to go in this race, and if this thing stays green, you know, that could be detrimental later on in the event as he pushes up into Matthews.
He pushed up just a little bit into Tim Matthews right there, moved him out of the way, which I think for him is what he thinks he needed to do, because now he has the clean air. However, he's got Matt Mara, and oh look, Christian Peterson's behind, but this kind of works out for the number 54.
Big wreck in one, big wreck in one.
Gosh,
don't mean to talk over their Coop, but their caution is out, and we have a massive pileup, about 5 or 6 trucks involved. Looks like Randy Yoakum definitely got the worst of that. He is crab walking down the backstretch and really, really hurting on his truck.
We're going to take a replay and see exactly what happened, and I think this starts with Tommy Ryan, and I'm not exactly sure what in the world happened right here. Looks like Tommy Ryan just started sliding. I'm going to have to take a couple different looks at it, and you'll see one on your screen here in just a second. But he gets, I think he just started braking and turning at the same time and just looped around. I haven't seen any of these trucks get that loose on entry, but that was the 8. Yeah, like you said, getting the worst of it. Rich Jetty got into it, and then looks like the 64 Michael Priester got into it, and Stephen Herring just got a little bit, but he was able to slow down pretty much just in time before it all went to hell right there. But so far, oh my gosh, you're not kidding about Randy Yoakum. I think he needs to bring that thing down pit road, Barnes.
Yeah, he is definitely crab walking, just trying to go as long as he can with what he has, because I do not expect him to be able to get back out there on the racetrack later on tonight.
Well, as we pace tonight here at Myrtle Beach, we'll take a quick moment to step aside as you've been watching the BNC Lawn Landscaping Truck Series here at Myrtle Beach.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. Well done, get going.
Welcome back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway, as Jamie Walker is currently leading over the rest of the field with Justin Michael behind him. Matt Maher in third, Christian Peterson fourth, and Joshua Banks is in the fifth position. His top five is actually not too terribly surprising, Kyle, for us here that I've been here since a few seasons ago, actually. This is seeing Jamie Walker and Justin Michael battle is something we see all the time, but seeing Christian Peterson up here, of course, is not a surprise.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. You know, Michael and Walker, they're always a class of a field in USR. And, of course, Peterson, you know, he's a short track ringer, and this place suits him very well. So we'll see what happens here on the green flag.
We'll see what any of these drivers that have come late in the picture here, really kind of early, still here in the first portions of this race. Jamie Walker decides to go late and actually hits this 87 on the restart here. I don't know if that was intentional at all since they're teammates. And look at the 23. He's going to make it 3 wide. This is crazy here. You think he's going to back out of it. Yeah, he backs completely out of it. And that was a very brave move. I'll say that. That's the least for Christian Peterson, but he was definitely smart enough to back out of it when it was the time to do that. So the 22 on the bottom is going to go up the track just a little bit. We're seeing that on the bottom side, and looks like he's actually going to hold up the 6 there, or the I think it's the 36 on the bottom. So we're also seeing Aaron Bennett come into the picture. Layout saying that there's some of these drivers are coming into the picture now that we would normally see. Aaron Bennett's one of the drivers that we normally see kind of coming into the picture at least at some point in the race, and he's had an off week, so he's down and dirty back to work. So his top 4 is very stout, as we've seen them do very good work, and the only one in that top 4 that doesn't have a win is Aaron Bennett.
Yeah, Aaron's just been like a snake in the grass, just waiting to pounce. You know, throughout the entire race, he's been running a really solid line. He's kept his truck almost entirely clean, other than a few scuff-ups here or there. But, you know, with Matt Maher there down in turn 1 and 2, it was really interesting to see him hop on the curbs as Aaron Bennett gets a little bit loose into 3, but does gather it back up. But back to what I was saying, Matt Maher hops up on the curbs, and these are not your normal curbs, Austin. Of course, we all know this if you participate or watch the Myrtle Beach series that we have on Wednesday night here on LSRTV, but if you're just an avid viewer of the USR Truck Series, Myrtle Beach is very, very different. The curbs are about, oh gosh, 4 or 5 inches high. It can definitely do some damage and upset a truck. So these guys are going to have to watch that throughout the race, and unfortunately it looks like they claimed their first victim in Matt Maher, as he lost a couple spots there on the restart.
Putting your left side tires on there, Kyle, is not a big deal, but it can, like you say, get your truck a little upset. But if you straddle if you straddle those bumps, you're probably going to get a blown engine. The sim will probably do some funky things to the underside of the truck, and it will not be a good night. It might even break your rear axle or something completely odd. The list is unimaginable because it could just do just about anything to the vehicle, because it's not really supposed to happen. So damage from the underside of the vehicle is definitely different. Look at Christian Peterson though, looking for second place on Justin Michael going to the bottom. Just kind of looking, it looks like he's trying to size up what's about to happen. I think we know that Christian Peterson has speed here. I don't think he's got the positioning he wants right now, but he is looking to have a lot of momentum here coming out of turn number 4, and he's going to dive it down into turn 1, but I don't think he's going to be where exactly he wants to be. This is a hard place to pass here, Kyle. It's at the bottom. It looks like that's the place to go, but there's so much more momentum here at the top side at Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, and the top side is going to get even faster as the night goes on. Christian tried to make a move as we have a caution. Looks like a spin over here in turn 4 between Jeff Ryan and Randy Tesser. We'll have to get a replay up on the screen here momentarily and see what happened there. But yeah, this outside lane, you know, as we go further and further into the race, as pit road is already open. Excuse me, pit road is already open. These guys are already diving in, but the pace car is flying by the flag stand. I don't know whether that's a good move or not.
For us watching the replay, it looks like Joshua Banks actually started that one, and we talked about how he may have actually may have actually hit the strips earlier on, and he hit the outside wall in the back and then got into the 68, and that actually upset the front end so bad that it hit the inside wall. It was just on from there. But we will look at pit stops here as they're all coming down. Jamie Walker and company coming down, and I don't think Christian Peterson did. I'm gonna have to look back and see where his pit stall is. Actually, he did come in, and so it looks like we might have a little bit of change for position though. Look at the number 14 of Bobby Terrell. he came in, I think, late or in the middle of the pack, and so he'll come out first. So we'll have to see exactly where he was. Actually, he was one of the first pitters, so, and he's laps down. So disregard that. I didn't realize he was laps down. So it will be Jamie Walker in first. I guess I wasn't paying attention, Barnes.
Yeah, and I do want to mention Matt Mara. He actually got a little bit loose there off of turn 2. We had already mentioned previously that he had hit the rumble strips there. He actually had some pretty hard contact into the inside wall and decided that he was just going to retire for the night. So he's already pulled that thing back in the garage area and exited the track. Interesting to note, does look like the 12 car got a little damage and hit on pit road. They got trapped in just a little miscommunication between all the drivers there on the exit.
Yeah, it looks like he went to slow down because pit road is more than likely closed at that moment, and whoever was behind him decided it was not in their best interest to wait. So I don't know exactly who that was. It might have been, it looks like it was Tim Matthews, who I don't think he was. It looked a lot worse than I think it actually was. I don't think Tim was really trying to do anything intentional there. Just he had a little momentum and it just kind of pushed him out of the way, and I think Tim Matthews will let you come down pit road and get that damage fixed from that incident. So that's exactly what he'll do. And it looks like Greg Mall will get his lap back here, possibly via the wave around, and so will the 6 of Tommy Ryan. So that's really good for Greg Mall. Looks like George Hendricks is also going to do the same. And I think that's just going to be a manual wave by, because we're at a short track. They won't get back to the field in time. So this is how the top 10 follows. Jamie Walker, Scott Formosa, Christian Peterson, Aaron Bennett, Scott Simley, John Jenkins, Robert Gillenwater, Michael Atkins Jr., Justin Michael, and Randy Chesser. As we have, well, this might be a surprising number, Kyle, but we've only got 13 cars or trucks in the lead lap.
Yeah, not that surprising. Here at a short track like Myrtle Beach, you kind of expect these guys to get a little bit off sequence, and you had guys like Tommy Ryan, and I think there was 1 or 2 others that dropped out of the sim for internet connection issues. So just one of those technical things with sim racing, but not that surprising. It's definitely going to be interesting, though, if these guys can get back on the lead lap and get back to a competitive state, but that's going to be difficult to do at a place like Myrtle Beach.
So Scott Formosa, who started 25th, is going to start on the outside lane to Jamie Walker, and so we'll be at the 1/4 point of this race here very shortly, actually, as they'll come to turn 3 and 4. Jamie Walker once again has a long way to the green flag, so he will get the green flag, and the rest of the field will be right in on it. It looks like Christian Peterson on the bottom is trying to make this work. Actually, I think hits the 80 just on the exit, just a tiny bit, gets his truck a little bit out of control. And Peterson still trying to make that bottom lane work, and he hasn't been able to as he gets a little nudge from the 80. Don't know if that was payback or whether that was just the line he wanted to make, but Peterson may be close to clearing him right here. That is the case. Christian Peterson now holds 2nd place, and when you see Christian Peterson behind you and you're the leader, you know he's had to work really hard to get up there, especially since Jamie started on the pole.
Yeah, and it's just a product of hard racing. Turn 2, the way it cuts off, you know, you run out of room, and on these restarts, contact's going to happen. I don't think it was anything intentional, and neither do I think anything was intentional off of 4. Just really hard racing. Neither of them got too out of shape. As we see Scott Smithley make a pass for 5th, as at least he's trying to attempt to clear John Jenkins. But John's holding pretty strong there on the outside. However, it does look like Smithley will have the run, or Simley, excuse me, will have the run off of 2 and will clear for 5th place, as we now have Aaron Bennett looking to the inside of Scott Formosa for 3rd.
Formosa's done a really good job of getting to where he getting to the point he is now, but now he's under fire from the number 3. And also who's under fire is the leader. I've seen Christian Peterson make a couple dives to the inside, and he's definitely showing that he's not afraid to at least show that he wants to go there. At a track like this, if you make a move, you can sometimes quickly pull out of it and kind of maybe trick your competition into thinking you're going to go a lot harder in the corner. But at this track, you can't do it too much because you'll definitely slide all the way to the outside wall. We've seen that a couple times here already tonight, Kyle, and we definitely don't want to see that with any of these guys. As we're starting to see them start to slip and slide just a little bit more. This is one of our longer well, this is one of the starts of our longer runs, I would say, as it looks like the 3 of Aaron Bennett goes to the inside, and he goes real wide on the 80, and I think the 80 was doing the same, as he's going to touch the outside wall. You talked about it earlier, Barnes. You cannot do that, and so now he's lost 2 positions, one to Scott Simley, one to Aaron Bennett, and now he's got a lot of drivers behind him that are going to look to do the same.
Yeah, Scott really got lucky on that one. Normally when guys get up into the outside wall here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, it'll take them all the way down into turn 3, and I mean, you just can't get off. It's almost like you're locked into it. It's a very, very weird construction on the outside wall, as it looks like John Jenkins is going to run on the outside, but does not attempt to make the move as Peterson dives out to the inside of Jeremy Walker for the lead, and it does look like he will attempt to clear, and he does clear him off turn 2 and heading into 3 as Christian takes the lead here on lap 58.
Maybe a tad bit of contact, but it looks like the 88 had to get out of it. So new leader, first time we've had it during green flag, the green flag runs is Christian Peterson. So Jamie doing a good job of trying to like stay in the picture, but it looks like Christian Peterson actually just hit the wall a little bit. So Jamie Walker seeing a little bit of a small flaw in Peterson's form, but Peterson has ran here so many times. Kyle, I picked him for the favorite beforehand, and I think you probably would have too if I asked you. Just because he's got so much experience in these super trucks in the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, and he's going to come here in a truck and try and not win is pretty surprising, but it looks like he's getting a little bit of grief from from Jeff Ryan right here. So he's going to try and get around him on the bottom or top side. I'm not exactly sure if Peterson knows where he's going to try and make this move, but it's making it a little bit easier for Jamie Walker to rail him back in just a little bit.
Yeah, Peterson's really got to use his head here and be smart. You know, anytime you're dealing with a lap car, you don't want to get involved in an accident with them. As it looks like Ryan will get up into the outside wall, and that's going to make it a whole lot easier for these 2 front runners to pass. However, Christian has had a lot of success not only in the Myrtle Beach Series that we have on Wednesday nights, but he also finished 2nd, I believe, in the NASCAR night on RaceSpot TV here a few weeks back in the C-Class Series. So he's definitely a strong contender for the win, but Jamie's not going to let him get away without a fight.
Jamie Walker only being about 3/10 behind, but that lead is getting a little bit bigger each lap, actually make it half a second now. Peterson's starting to get in a groove, and you also got to remember that the 88 had to get around Jeff Ryan right there, who's a lap truck, and that is going to start to be a big deal here as we start to roll on with that many lap cars. Like we talked about, there's about 18, 19, maybe 20 trucks that are still out here, and only 12 of them are on the lead lap, and not all of them will be in the lead lap if we continue to go green. I know for a fact that Peterson and Jamie are going to try and get around these guys and get around the track as quickly as possible to stay away from their competition as we continue to log these laps and get closer and closer to halfway, which is not too far away if these guys continue to go do some green flag laps. So looking throughout the field, still our biggest mover is Scott Formosa from 25th to 5th. That's 20 positions. He still looks pretty stout out there in his number 80 KBB.com Chevrolet out there, and realistically these guys are pretty spread out, Kyle. This is probably the most common we've seen them so far this evening.
Yeah, and I don't blame him at all. You know, let's just get some laps under our belts here and get a little bit further in the race. These guys are going to have to come down pit road eventually. So, you know, we're at least going to have one more pit stop. So no reason to really push it too hard and ruin your truck just because you got too aggressive with somebody else. But it does look like Justin Michael was able to complete a pass for 8th on Robert Gillenwater. Gillenwater pushed up out of the corner and just let him go on by as Justin Michael tries to make his way back to the front.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened to Justin. Maybe he had to take some extra time down pit road. We did talk in the few previous weeks that we've done that the pit stops have been pretty I would like, I don't think the right word is bad, but I guess that's the word I'll use, is just because the sim has gone through a big change and had a lot different pit crews. The box is a little bit smaller, and we've seen that through the last few weeks of all the leagues that we've been doing. Even last night in the Super Speedway Cup Series, I was guilty of myself of going to the box, and a lot of other drivers were too. And I haven't seen that so far tonight, perhaps because they're going at much slower speeds, but perhaps that happened. Justin, let's get the scoop on it later on, and see exactly what's going to happen. But Battle 4 looks like the 5th place position. That's the first top 5 exchange we've seen in a while, and it'll be Michael Atkins Jr. looking on the inside of the 80. He touches the outside wall, and he's going to get away with it there.
Yeah, he got lucky a second time. I'm not sure if it's going to be 3 strikes and you're out with that outside wall on the backstretch, but he's definitely going to have to pay attention and get out of that wall. I mean, if it sucks you up into that outside wall, or you get stuck there, I should say, and you jerk it to the left and pull it off there too hard, you will wreck. I mean, there's no way around it. This is just one of those things that is different for this track on Myrtle Beach Speedway than any other track in the service. There's no other outside wall built like the outside wall at Myrtle Beach, as it looks like Michael Atkins will go to the inside, but does not have the run as he pushes up off of turn 2 and will hit off the gas to avoid any accident there with Scott Formosa.
Yeah, he actually hit those rumble strips we've been talking about, and like you said, shoved him right up the track and did the good thing of just getting out of the gas. And we've talked about how Michael Atkins, there's a lot of Michaels in here, as you can tell. He's well, let's see if he can get on the 80 right here. He's going to get pretty close. I have a feeling that Formosa might have tried some pit strategy earlier on, and it's starting to catch up with him here too, Kyle. But Michael Atkins has had some really good races, as he's still looking on the inside right here. He's not going to be able to make anything work of it, but the 80 is looking a little out of control. I have to believe that he may have tried some pit audible. Look at the 91. He's trying to go the outside and just try something different. I think he's a little tired of these guys battling, and so is the 87 of Justin Michael, as he'll make a move to the inside of the 91 here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be able to complete that pass on the 91 of John Jenkins, and that's going to move Michael into the 7th place position here. But looking back at the pit stops, I think Formosa may have done some sort of pit strategy. Interesting thing to note here at a track like Myrtle Beach Speedway, when you have your pit road entry into turn 3, it's very, very easy to get an iRacing glitch to where the pace car will speed out of the pits. I'm going about 100 miles an hour trying to get in front of the leaders, and in doing so will keep that speed up all the way to the front stretch until it will finally slow down. Well, that unfortunately happened this last time, which meant that the pace car was almost to turn 1 when these drivers came down for their pit stops. I think some of these guys were worried about going a lap down and took 2 tires to make sure that they got back out in front of that pace car before it came back around, because as you mentioned earlier, these pit stops can take quite a bit longer than your normal pit stops anywhere else.
Still looking at this battle just inside and outside the top 5 with the number 80 of Scott Formosa. This is definitely the most heated battle we have. Just about everyone else is pretty spread out, but the number 2 will not stop, and I have a feeling that the 87 of Justin Michael is going to try and punish him for it by trying to go to the outside, but he's going to tag the wall just a tiny bit with the rear end. Not a huge deal here for him, but he's getting an advantage here, the 2, is he's able to stick on the inside, and I think the 80 made a mistake right there, and he's going to be able to really make a move off of it, but not complete yet. He's not going to be completely, he has not completed the pass yet, but Justin Michael also trying to get benefit of this as well.
Yeah, most definitely, and Michael's going to take advantage of it as he gets loose into turn 1. He's going to slide up in front of Formosa. Formosa's simply just going to cross him over, and going down into turn 3, we may even see another slide job here, but no, it looks like he's going to pull back from it and just fall back into position. But man, was that an aggressive move by Justin Michael or what?
Yeah, I think he locked up his front wheels, but he's been really turning it hard into turn 1, and I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do that. I mean, he was at the tail end of this lead pack, and when you do when you do that so often, and we don't really typically see 200 laps at a track like this, but with trucks like these too, but he's really making those front tires real hot, and it's not going to really help him in the long run. But he's going to have some time between now and maybe getting around. Maybe he'll get to just Michael Atkins Jr. and he'll be able to have some time to maybe get those tires cooled down, as well as realistically looking through. Actually, he's going to hit the wall. Oh wow, huge hit the outside wall for Justin Michael. So scratch that. I don't know if he's going to have as much of a good time for those tires.
Yeah, looking back at that, looks like you just got up out of the groove, and you know, if you get out of the groove here at Myrtle Beach, it's just going to punish you, and that's exactly what happened there. Luckily, he didn't catch the gate down in turn 1, though. You know, racing here at a local short track like Myrtle Beach Speedway is different from running at your normal NASCAR-style tracks, I guess you could say. You know, all your NASCAR tracks just have your standard wall, but here at Myrtle Beach, there's a gate, and if you catch that gate the wrong way, it is going to destroy your car as they try and move around Jeff Ryan, the lap car. He's definitely been having a rough night. It looks like Michael and Atkins aren't going to have any issues passing and clearing him. But yeah, this gate down here in turn 1 could have definitely done more damage if he wasn't more careful.
They get around. Oh, wow. Looks like Jeff Ryan almost tagged the number 87. I don't know if that was intentional by any means, but looks like Justin Michael's trying a very high-end approach here into the corners and trying to get a really good exit off. Really, realistically, looking throughout the field, there's a lot of different lines. You can definitely see the track starting to get a little bit darker, and it's only going to be a little bit more challenging to find that perfect line of which one's the fastest. But if we start looking through the field to see who is the fastest, well, if you guessed Christian Peterson, you'd actually be wrong. The fastest truck on the track was Scott Simley, and he has not had time to shine at all this season, despite being the series champion for 2 years in a row, and he'll try and defend that here this year again. Getting position right now from 13th to 14th, one of our bigger movers, and as soon as I say something about him, he clips the outside wall, so maybe we should stop talking about him. Yeah,
commentator's curse right there, Coop. As soon as you started talking to him, he got up into the outside wall, and I don't think he had made any contact before that point, so not really good for him, but kind of humorous for us up here in the booth, as we always seem to have this commentator's curse, or at least you do, here at LSRTV, so always seems to happen to you guys here at LSR.
So that will keep him in 4th place still, and we're starting to see the congestion of lap traffic here. Looks like Jamie Walker's getting around the number 34 George Hendricks, which he is now a lap down. He's in 12th, and that puts 11 trucks on the lead lap, and Christian Peterson has kind of got by everything. He got by Stephen Herring, he got by Bobby Terrell, who's now 13 laps down. Bobby's just trying to get some extra points because he needs them badly so he can stay in front of Peterson, so he doesn't make the chase, so he can have his own bid. And Jamie Walker still behind, but about 2 seconds behind, so it's getting a lot bigger each and every lap, but not by much. But every lap he's just a little bit behind, and it's starting to really add up, as looks like Aaron Bennett is also starting to catch in on his teammate. But this is all going to stop because we have a caution, and it's Scott Formosa. We kind of saw this coming. We saw him having issues earlier, and I'm unsure how much damage it's going to be, but we'll get a replay of exactly what happened. And looks like it was the lap car of Jeff Ryan, actually, so nothing to do with how he was handling his car. Looks like he got tagged, and actually doesn't look like he's gonna have any damage here.
Maybe just some slight damage to the left rear, but nothing major. The biggest thing, though, is he may have won a lap down to Christian Peterson. Yeah, I do believe he did go behind Christian Peterson, so it's going to be interesting to see. Either he's going to stay out, get the wave around, get his lap back, hope for a quick caution, or he's going to have to pit, and he's going to be a lap behind already before we go back racing here.
And that's really unfortunate for Scott Formosa to be in that kind of position, as we're getting closer to the halfway point. And I think this might be a good time to do our midway race break here, Cisco. So as we cross tonight's halfway point, we can look at that. And it is brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation. Developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service, iRacing hosts, officiates all... Excuse me. Yeah, sorry, I lost where I was too. The iRacing hosts, officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, GRC, and many, many more. And I finally got that bug out of my stomach. Sorry about that. Jamie Walker will presumably continue to lead after pit stops here this evening. It looks like everyone's... some people are coming down, some people are not, but Jamie Walker continues to lead. And you've got Aaron Bennett in the 2nd position right now. Then Michael Atkins Jr. 3rd, Scott Simley 4th. 5th place is Justin Michael, and you've got Greg Mall 6th. He was in an accident earlier. Then John Jenkins 7th, Robert Gillenwater 8th, Randy Tetzer 9th, Christian Peterson, I think, will find himself in the 10th position. Didn't have to find out exactly what happened with him. So George Hendricks 11th, he'll be unlapped. And then Scott Formosa, Joshua Banks, Lewis Robinette, those are lots of guys on the lead lap. And then the long list of drivers who are laps down or out of this race is going to be Tim Matthews, Stephen Herring, Jeff Ryan, Tommy Ryan, Bobby Terrell, and Rich Jetty. That's your top 20. And then drivers who are way out of this and more than likely not coming back is going to be Matt Mara, Michael Priester, Randy Yoakum, Brian Cutts, Dwayne Dunn, and Chris Cabot, as Seth the Merchant did not start this race. So that's been a look at your Midway race break presented by iRacing. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com to sign up today. Thanks to our friends at Red Bull Global Rallycross, you can now visit iRacing.com/membership and use the code PR-GRC for an opportunity to start your career on iRacing with 3 months for only $5. That's promo code PR-GRC for new members only. And that's so new, that's the first time I've actually seen it, and so, as it was literally being typed in front of my eyes. So definitely want to get yourself onto iRacing. New GRC stuff is pretty darn cool, and I enjoyed it. And we have a green flag here with Jamie Walker getting a great jump here.
Yeah, Jamie Walker's going to jump out here to the front. Looks like Michael Atkins could jump to the inside of Aaron Bennett, but it's not going to be able to hold it as we already have a caution going down into turn 1. And man, does this help Scott Formosa or what, as he took the wave around there under that last caution period to get back on the lead lap. And this is a blessing for him, as he's going to be able to come down and take 4 tires.
We're going to see the replay here, and it looks like Jeff Ryan was looking at all the action in front of him, and I think he got spooked here, Cobb, because Tim Matthews made an error, like a very quick move, and then the 23 did, and he must have stomped on those brakes, and that, as you know, will really upset the car here, as he'll hit the inside wall really hard, and we'll have some other cars coming down pit road. So while we have a quick caution, we will take a quick break, and we'll be right back after a message from our sponsors. You've been watching Myrtle Beach with the BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series here with United Sim Racing.
Red Bull GRCs are now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is that this 600 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
Welcome back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway for the United Sim Racing B and C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series, as Jamie Walker continues to lead. And we had talked during the break that there was an issue with Christian Peterson. He actually sped on pit road, so a big issue for him, as he'll have to start in the 9th position here on this restart and 10th on the last restart. Jamie Walker gets going really early and we'll get another green flag this evening. Big jump, probably one of the biggest wins we've seen this entire race as they go 2x2 way behind him as well.
Yeah, it looked like he was playing a little bit of a game going into turn 3, sped up just a little bit to get out ahead. As we see Michael Atkins still try and hold the inside here on Aaron Bennett, and he's going to try and get up in front of the 68 of Scott Simley, but it doesn't look like Simley's going to want to let him in. We'll have to see whether or not Atkins can get up in line without losing too many positions.
And this is one of the best races I think Scott Simley has seen really this entire season. He's had good finishes, but really hasn't been up there towards the front to compete for any wins so far this season, but that has never stopped him from winning 2 championships as he's done something like that very much before, as he's continuing to really reel in that outside lane. Michael Atkins Jr. is still going to have an issue, but the 87 has one as well, and I don't know how he didn't mess up the 2 right there. But the 87 has done this multiple times, and now the 68 of Simley has a small bobble, and so that'll kind of bring everyone together right there. I'll tell you, the 87 is a fast truck, but I have a feeling that he's had some issues. Oh, the 2 kind of puts up in front of him, and oh, wow, what a move. He kind of goes there, and that is going to be the number 2's position, but wow, what a move. And Christian Peterson's now on the inside of the 87.
Yeah, Christian Peterson actually restarted 9th, and these guys have been messing around so much. He's just been able to use the inside and just drive up through the field. As we see him go to the inside here, Justin Michael, and there goes Justin Michael again. He's gonna
this might be it.
Gonna hit the outside wall. Major contact into the outside wall this time. There's no keeping that one out of the wall, as he's going to fall back into 7th place here. It looks like he's going to be able to drop down in front of Gillenwater, but man, did he do some damage to that truck.
This is one of those rare occurrences where you see Justin Michael really struggle, but this is also a rare occurrence for this series to be at a track like this. Seeing Aaron Bennett up towards the front in 2nd place, it's also something that is actually way too common. We haven't seen him in victory lane in quite some time. I think it was not even last season that we saw him in victory lane. So it's been quite some time for him, and this is going to be a really good opportunity for him to try and make a stand right now as he's behind teammate Jamie Walker, and he does not get the exit on the corner, but he's been there for the last couple laps. Also looking at Christian Peterson, looking on the inside of the 2 right here. He's going to be side by side with him, and he's getting himself a good run. The 2 kind of pushes him down a little bit, but Peterson's being very aggressive as well, and got the inside, which is, as we know, the shortest part of the track, but like we talked about, the outside so quick. I think turn 1 is where he gets the most speed right here, and he might have a chance at it out of 2. He's going to continue to push. He gets at least heads up with him on the back straightaway, and he'll have to really push from that couple corners if he wants to get him by quickly. But that's not typically his prerogative. Just get really smooth laps and you'll get it eventually, and that's typically the Christian Peterson way.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Christian Peterson that I'm noticing with him, but not anybody else, is it looks like he's going to clear the 2 truck, excuse me. He's shifting, and he's doing it a lot, especially when he's on the inside lane. He is using 3rd gear to his advantage to get a pull off, and he's in 4th by the time he gets on the straightaway. So he's not using it for very long, but it's very important to get that run off the corner, because as we've mentioned multiple times, this top groove came in. It's the fastest way around the racetrack right now, and you're able to keep up so much momentum that if Christian Peterson just stayed in 4th gear, it would bog off the corner and he'd never be able to complete a pass. So the only downside with that, Austin, as you very well know, is that is going to eat up your tires. You've definitely not going to want to do this the entire race, as it looks like he's already went back to using 4th gear only here as we go into lap 116. But man, is he using some very interesting techniques here late in the race.
But we talked about this during the break. There might have to be a pit stop for these guys, and maybe tires aren't as important to him, as he's currently making up a lot of ground right now on these guys. He's on the inside of the 68 right now, and Simley has not really been a really strong truck, but he hasn't been one to really lay over so far this race either. But it looks like he's going to be having a driver of the number 23 on his inside. Christian Peterson will probably get this position. Scott Simley's he's kind of like a Mark Martin when it comes to speed. He'll contest you for a little bit, but whenever he realizes, it's kind of a lost cause, he'll sit behind you and he'll probably try and take some notes here. Simley's been really known to be probably one of the most patient drivers and not force anything in this series for the past few seasons. Of course, he's two-time defending champion, so definitely a guy you'd want to and do expect to do that. Looking up front, though, I think Jamie Walker just clipped the wall a little bit, and so what that's going to do is it's going to bring Aaron Bennett back into the picture, and it's only going to slow both of them down. And look at Peterson play the Jaws music. He's coming.
Yeah, he's definitely coming. He's went back to the third gear shifting deal, and he's definitely gaining some speed on these guys up front. And you know, you mentioned tires, and yes, we do expect these drivers are going to have to come out on pit road and pit again, but at a short track like Myrtle Beach, if you take 4 tires, you're going to probably go at least 1, maybe even 2 laps down with the way the pit road entry and exit is built here. So it's going to be interesting if these guys come down pit road later on. Are they even going to be able to get tires, as we see Peterson go to the inside of Bennett here for second? I just don't know. This may really hurt him later on in the race.
We currently cross lap 121. I think that's going to be really close to Jamie Walker locking up the most laps led here for this evening. And I don't know if it's going to matter, because Christian Peterson is on an absolute roll, and this will be, if he continues to get up there, this will be even more laps led for him as well. And I can get a tally on that here in just a little bit once I actually get the appropriate point standings in front of me. As realistically, Jamie Walker's done a really good job of getting these starts down, but on the long run, no one does it better than Christian Peterson in these leagues that we cover all over LSRTV. And quite frankly, this is just one of those tracks that he's just experienced more than anyone else in this field, and it's really showing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's already close to the back bumper of Jamie Walker, and he's going to look to make a pass here pretty soon as he attempts to get to the front of the field and go back out to a commanding lead as we head into pit stops later on. Going back through the field, it does look like Justin Michael has fallen back even more to the clutches of Scott Formosa, who of course was spun out by the lap car of Jeff Ryan there a couple cautions ago. So we're going to have to see if Scott Formosa can do anything with Michael, as Michael's really battling a damaged truck right now.
Looking through your field, that's definitely not good. As like you said, yeah, those 3 right now really close. They're just about as close to the leaders in the same intervals as possible as they can be, really. And Tommy Ryan, he's 4 laps down, just trying to hold on to it as he's trying to get all those points. You know, he's in a position where he's got to try and get everything he's got, because last week he got disqualified from qualifying and was not able to make the race, so that dropped him 6 positions. That's a really large number, and the lead is coming out right now. Looks like Christian Peterson on the inside of Jamie Walker. It doesn't look like it's going to work right now, but he at least has the nose on the inside, and Jamie Walker knows he's there. He's taking a long way out on the outside and trying to get a lot of momentum. That's really what you want to do. They make a little bit of contact, but Christian Peterson keeps it steady and forward. So does Jamie Walker on the outside. Walker's got the easier route. Peterson's got the more difficult route, and he starts to slide. This is kind of the first moment of a weakness we're starting to see from Christian Peterson's entire race here on lap 129.
Yeah, and this is just a product of going into third gear and getting those RPMs revved up. The motors in these trucks, while they are quote-unquote the third-tier series of NASCAR, these things are still stout. They're heavy, they're stout. The tires are going to get worn out quick. So by going and shifting gears and really spinning your tires up off the corner, he's really going to have to watch it as we go further into the race. And he almost makes contact there with Walker coming off of turn 2. But I don't know, Walker's got a really solid line, and if he can keep this outside rolling the way he is right now, it may be pretty hard for Peterson to make that pass complete.
Peterson's making an earlier dart to the bottom than the 88, but I think Peterson might have made a small mistake by trying to dive and make the apex of that a little earlier than the 88. So I think that's definitely the difference between these two. Is now it's the 88. I don't think he's got the speed like Christian Peterson does, but he's definitely got the advantage of just being out front as this battle continues to go. And Peterson just trying to find a way. He's got a lot of time to do it, like we talked about. I mean, he's got a lot of time to do it. He's got over 70 laps to really make a move, and there might be a pit stop that's involved with this. And I'm sure if there's a caution, these guys will come down pit road for tires only, and not that they won't get fuel, but that'll be the biggest reason. Is Christian Peterson tries to take advantage of a small mistake by the 88. He makes a mistake of his own, wobbles a little bit, and now he's going to continue to put the pressure on. This is a battle we're not going to really want to take our eyes off, as he's getting really close just about every time he puts a move on.
No, absolutely not. And it looks like he's going to slide it into turn 1. He's going to lose all his momentum and even hits a curb coming off of turn 2. Definitely losing some momentum there. But I don't really know whether this is by accident with Jamie Walker or whether this is intentional. It looks like he's committed to running that high line in the entry to turn 1, and then he's really getting a straight shot off of turn 2. And even with Peterson to his inside, as high as he's going up, almost 2 lanes from the wall, he's able to diamond it off in a way to where he's just getting a killer run, and he's not having to worry about the wheel spin like somebody with Christian Peterson with the 3rd gear deal is having to worry about. But it has enabled Aaron Bennett. He has been able to close up just a tiny bit, and Scott Simley as well, as he sits in 4th.
Simley kind of being in his own little world, as John Jenkins is too, and then you've got a bunch of other drivers that are kind of just mixed between lap trucks in the middle of this, and then you've got some trucks that are just trying to really make it to the end of this. One of those being Greg Mall, the other one being Justin Michael, but the caution I was referring to comes out, and I don't see anyone around, but it does appear that we will have a caution here, Kyle.
Yeah, it looks like the 30 of Louis Robinette going down into turn 3 just got a little bit sideways and triggered the caution. He didn't go all the way around, fortunately, and nobody made any contact, but it was enough for iRacing Storage to throw the caution, and we'll see everybody come down pit road, I'm sure.
Tires is where it's going to be out here for this one, Barnes, and you know that. Jamie Walker coming down. Peterson's got to really make sure he doesn't speed in here. We talked about how he and Seth have really good speed on track, but have actually had a bad record of pit road penalties here. So now they should make it into the fuel window, which we really haven't had to worry about this race. So Christian Peterson will come down, Scott Simley come down to his box, and they've got to really make it into those boxes perfectly. Aaron Bennett makes it really solid in his box, and then Jamie Walker also gets into his box fairly nicely as well. So all these drivers kind of just get into the boxes pretty easily. Which one will come out first? Looks like 4 tires for everyone. Simley gets a good run out of his box, but I don't think he'll beat the 23. He'll get in front of the 3, though, but Jamie Walker will win this battle off pit road, but Simley kind of making a surprise right here, and he goes over those curbs. You got to be careful about that.
Yeah, definitely got to be careful about that. Even something as lightly as just barely touching those curbs as he did. Oh, as we almost have an accident. And Simley has to go down to the pits. Simley had to go down into the pits to avoid an accident with the 2 of Atkins. Oh, wow. Oh, goodness. And if the stewards don't clear this, he's going to have a speeding penalty as well. This may have just ruined Simley's race because somebody else wasn't paying attention to the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Atkins was doing right there because he was going extremely slow and had plenty of time in the world. He's going 27 miles an hour on the back straightaway and then starts to speed up and cut down pit road and really, I'll say it, ruins his race single-handedly there. And if, like you said, if the stewards are going to be strict by the rules, then they won't clear that because it's he chose to go down there and didn't spin him out. So I'm sure Simley will have a nice long talk with him right there. I've never seen that with this series, to have that kind of problem. Looks like Robert Gillenwater got an EUL for I'm sure some other reason that's unrelated to that and to the caution, but that's a big deal for someone who's had just kind of one of those seasons that's not really gone the way he's wanted it to. And so really, really unfortunate for him. Looking at the drivers here at the end of, at the beginning of the line here, looks like Tommy Ryan will go 2 laps down once he crosses, or 3 laps down once he crosses the line, and then we'll have Rich Jetty going from 88 to 87 laps down. It's kind of a long stretch for him, but he will get those laps back. Jamie Walker, though, he will lead once again. I'm kind of still stunned by what just happened.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like the admin, it looks like Aaron Bennett's race control for tonight, doesn't look like he's cleared the penalty for Simley, which is surprising considering he was right behind it and should have seen that that was just an honest mistake and he was trying to avoid contact. So we'll have to see if he clears it here as we go green. If he doesn't, this is going to be a major blow to Simley.
Simley will be, looks like, I'm not sure what he'll be, but we'll have the green flag here coming down to turn number 1, and Christian Peterson will try and pilot the outside, and he'll have the 3 in his inside, not quite there, and Christian Peterson will really dive to the outside, tries to get to the rear quarter panel of the 88 here on this, and he'll try and cross him over here out of 4. He'll have the momentum. Will he dive down into turn number 1? He will. And will he have the momentum? He's trying everything he's got. Not quite yet, but he will get square with him out of turn number 2. Continues to push it down into turn number 3. Peterson, I think this is kind of his putting all of his hands out, or his entire hand out there as he gets really close to the 88, and he will lead the lap, and he will now start to lead this one.
Yeah, and it does look like Simley has entered pit road, unfortunately, here, Coop. Just what a terrible end to his night. Just a total accident there under caution, trying to avoid contact. And, you know, rules are rules. And, you know, you don't ever want to see any of the rules changed mid-race. But, you know, sometimes I think it's acceptable to make a you know, case-by-case basis call on something, especially, you know, that out there that you would never see. But it does look like Peterson's going to grab the lead. Walker's going to hold pretty steady in second, with Bennett third, Jenkins fourth, and Mall in fifth as he tries to make his way back up to the front after that early accident. They're around lap 10.
Yeah, Mall's trying to do something that we've kind of seen him do before, is just get to the front of the field after expecting him not to really do much of anything throughout the race. And he did that at the, I think that was Charlotte, where he actually won the race. He came from 36th to 1st under green flag conditions. No cautions during that entire race. Probably one of the most impressive races we've seen in this league and by any driver in this league. So he's definitely capable of a lot, and he's gonna have John Jenkins spin out right in front of him. So the 91 goes to the inside wall.
Oh, we have another one coming in. It looks like the four truck of Robert Gillenwater also got loose, and that could have been an absolute disaster there for Jenkins and Gillenwater, as Jenkins still hasn't turned around, and Peterson's coming off of turn 4 now.
He's going to turn around probably pretty soon. Might want to trigger the caution, but it looks like he's going to be actually nice about it, I'd say. And he's going to even lose more positions because some of these guys going around him are a lap down. So he could have very easily come up on the track. And oh my goodness.
You spoke too soon. You spoke too soon. That was almost an absolute disaster off of turn 4. I don't think he realized that Herring was that far back in turn 3 and 4, but man, was that close.
Well, they definitely like to keep us entertained and on the edge of our seats, but I think whoever that was, Steve Herring, I think he needs to probably check himself after this race, because that was a little too close for comfort for him and definitely for us, as it was right in front of us. And John Jenkins, he's just trying to get out and start racing. And you could tell he did not want that caution to come out. He came out there like no one was there in the first place. So he'll have to take the, I'd assume he will take the EOL for coming out on the track like that. But gosh, some really weird things are happening in this race here as Jamie Walker comes down pit road.
Yeah, you know, we got a lot of drivers that came down pit road. I think Walker, Bennett, Matthews, Mall, all these came down pit road. And we also had some others stay out, such as Peterson and Tesser, and I think actually that's about it. But this is going to be an interesting restart. I know we didn't run too many laps there under green, but it may have just been enough to upset the tires on the 23 of Christian Peterson, to where he may lose some spots. We've seen earlier in the race we had 2 drivers stay out and on 4 old tires, and they were absolutely decimated on the restart. So this could be make or break for Peterson here if we don't have another caution.
Brady Tesser will start in the 2nd position unless he comes down pit road. So that will actually give the, I'd say, the preferred line to the 3 here when it comes down to getting this restart. But he will actually come down pit road. So that will put fresh tires behind Peterson. He'll be the only driver amongst any of these guys to not have to come down, that has not come down pit road. And it looks like Simley is now 4 laps down, Kyle, which is really a huge shot to him, and he won't even be able to get a lap back because Peterson's in front of him. So no wave by for him. He'll have to let all these guys go by. Like we said, real bummer for him, and he kind of something he really couldn't control unless he wanted to spin him out and damage his own truck. So Christian Peterson will lead. We'll go through the top 10, and so you go through the top 11 as it, or yeah, we'll go through your top 10 here as Aaron Bennett sits in the 2nd position. He won that battle on pit road. Then we've got Jamie Walker, Greg Mall, Justin Michael finds himself in 5th. Then George Hendricks 6th, Tim Matthews 7th, Lucas Robinette finds himself in 8th. 9th place is Scott Formosa right now, and then Michael Atkins Jr. is in 10th. They go 2 by 2 here, as we're about to have another restart here. It'll start on lap 156 here as they start to pace around for the final time before this restart.
Yeah, and Aaron Bennett's going to have that preferred line on the outside. The only good thing about this restart is Christian Peterson's going to be able to fire first. So we're going to have to see if he can fire first here, get the jump, get up to that high side, because if he doesn't, Bennett's going to probably eat him up here going down in turn 1.
So tires versus tires, Christian Peterson being on the older ones, and Christian Peterson gets a great restart. No one's close to him. He's got himself a 2 trunk length lead, and it's going to be between Jamie Walker and Aaron Bennett on who wins this one to go against Peterson first. So looks like Bennett's going to go a little tight off the corner, and so they'll be square on the back straightaway, and Bennett will continue to have the advantage on the outside lane. We talked about this is a really weird, really different short track, and so the outside is really the preferred lane here, as Bennett will clear him and will set his sights on Peterson, who has not got out too far, and we kind of expected that, but I'm seeing the 3 get real tight out of turn number 2, and I think these guys are really starting to catch him at that corner. But Gianna coming out at 4, he's got himself actually a faster truck than Jamie Walker.
Yeah, it does look like he's running a little bit different line. He's actually staying to the inside where Bennett's going up and really diamonding the exit off. And Peterson's going to pull off even more from Bennett coming off of turn 2, so it doesn't look like tires are affecting Peterson as much as they affected Matthews and a couple other drivers there at the beginning of the race. So if Peterson can keep running this consistent line and maybe hope that Walker and Bennett get to racing side by side, it may not bother him at all.
Yeah, I just think that the number 3 of Aaron Bennett, he's running turn number 2 a little hot, and I see him lose time every single time out of turn number 2, and perhaps Peterson made a mistake right there, because I think they actually gained a little bit on him right there, and actually they made up even. So here comes number 88 on the bottom of the track, trying to get around the 3, and like you said, if they do battle, this will be great for Peterson, because he won't have to worry about them at all. But I think they're starting to catch him after a couple laps, because he's starting to look a little bit more in their sights, despite having the battle between them. So Peterson continues to have just about a half-second lead between them. It looks like he actually pulls away just by a little bit, but at a short track, once one driver gets clear between these two battling for position, I think the floodgates will open, but they are pretty worried about each other here. I mean, the 3 is driving like he's got someone behind him, not like he's got someone in front of him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Bennett's definitely running a defensive line, you know, trying to keep Walker behind him, pinching him down a little bit off the corners, which is totally fine. I mean, we're less than 40 laps to go. It's go time. We don't play around anymore. You know, you don't let anybody just go by. But at the same time, knowing that Peterson stayed out on that last caution, knowing that he's on older tires, whether it be 10 or 15 laps more than what they have on their car now, why not just let Walker go by, see if Walker can catch Peterson? But really, I think it's too late for that now, as Peterson just continues to drive away.
Yeah, Bennett's got to find a different line, because I think Jamie's actually faster than him, but he's got him really realistically pinned on the bottom. Jamie's just going to have to try and find a way to either get around him, or Bennett's going to have to find a way to get to Peterson first, because neither of them are really making progress. And I think Aaron's starting to pull away from the 88, but neither of them are starting to get on Christian Peterson's case, as the lead, like you said, just keeps getting a little bit larger each and every lap, and it goes from about 7/10 to, it actually does come down just a little bit, but not at a convincing rate to say that he's being caught yet. And this time by, we'll have about 45 laps to go. We're within the 1/4 portion left on this race. A lot can happen. We've got 11 drivers on the lead lap. Lewis Robinette rounds out that one, and then Stephen Herring and a lot of other drivers are trying to get their lap back and hoping for a caution here, as Aaron Bennett still trying to catch Christian Peterson. It's pretty consistent, but not a lot. But each lap, like we talked about, Christian Peterson did it to Jamie Walker earlier. Aaron Bennett's doing the opposite, trying to eat that lead now.
Yeah, and absolutely. And we're talking about the top 3. Look who's made his way into 4th. Mr. Justin Michael. I think he's bounced off about every outside wall here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, because that whole right side is completely destroyed. But he is making the best of it, and he's running very, very competitive lap times compared to the top 3. I don't know if he's got anything to go up there and fight Peterson and Bennett for the win, but it does look like he's running pretty consistent lap times compared to Walker, and may be able to close in on him for 3rd before the end of the race.
Yeah, pretty surprising to say the least. And yeah, like you said, that right side's kicked all in, but he's had some really fine moments in this race. Now he's losing speed off of the leader, which Bennett is not. He's catching him still, and so is Jamie Walker. Jamie Walker's losing speed too, so perhaps Aaron decided to be really easy on the tires at first on that run, which was smart, I'd say, as he's actually kind of losing the truck right there. He lost a little bit of the front end and started going toward, started pointing in towards the inside wall, and that goes from being a half-second lead to an 8/10 of a lead, which is the biggest difference in interval between those drivers since the start of this green flag run. Which all of that, everything he just worked for, just kind of went out the window and then some. So he's gonna have to work even harder to get all that back. That's a hard thing to have happen, especially when you are catching him. So Bennett being a little bit inconsistent at this point in the race, he's got to try and find something that's real solid and is catching Christian Peterson as that lead just gets larger and larger.
Absolutely, and Myrtle Beach Speedway, you know, this isn't a normal circuit that they go to in real life. And one of the reasons why is not only is it so short, but it's so hard to make moves and gain ground on somebody else because of how tedious you have to be with your line. If you miss your mark in one corner, one entry, one exit, it could absolutely ruin you for, you know, any hopes of catching the guy ahead, simply because of how much momentum you have to keep. The long sweeping turns, you know, these heavy trucks with all this horsepower coming off the corner. You know, if somebody gets the power down in front of you and it sticks and they have grip, they're going to look like a cannon compared to you if you're sliding off the corner. And here we go again. Bennett just continues to fall back and Peterson just continues to drive away.
Peterson being real conservative with his tire wear, and I think that happened definitely when Bennett and Walker were fighting. I think he could see in his rear view, like, you know, I can maybe shave a few more laps, you know, or shoot a few less laps than these guys if I just continue to be on the bottom, which the bottom at this track is not the fastest, but it would, at least I assume, Kyle, be the least the wear on your tires, because you don't have to, you know, slide it in the corner as hard. You can be a little bit easier to get around the track. So Peterson with a 1.2 second lead. Bennett starting to lose that difference between him and Jamie Walker, who barely touches the outside wall, I'd say. But we've got ourselves 25 laps to go here at Myrtle Beach, and with the race going the way it is, and with, oh wow, Aaron Bennett somehow catching the truck right there, Peterson's in a really good position to win this one again.
Yeah, Bennett is, simply put, just all over the place. You know, he was loose a lap ago, got up into the outside wall for 2. Now he's loose off of 4. I mean, he's just really burning his stuff up, and it's going to hurt him here. If we don't get a caution, you know, these guys are just sitting ducks compared to Peterson as he just continues to drive away. And this is something that, you know, we see in real life with the late model stock division down here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. You know, like I said earlier, tire wear is just so massive here that you can lose a second and a half, 2.5 seconds on a short track like this simply because the tires go away. And I think iRacing done a very good job of simulating that on the sim with a vehicle like this Camping World truck, to where these guys can pit, have 15 lap newer tires on, but they can still have more tire wear based on Christian Peterson's line compared to theirs, as we see Jamie Walker going to the inside of Aaron Bennett for second.
That's 2 Young Gun Motorsports guys going at it, and you know they're talking to each other, but they definitely know that they both of them want the position, and neither of them are in real desperation to get more points. They continue to just run the top 5 like they have been week after week. They'll make it into the chase, but I'm sure between those two they'd like to have some bragging rights for the rest of the week. Although the one having the real bragging rights is going to be Christian Peterson out in front with the 2.3 second lead. While these guys battle, Peterson's just going to be gone, I'd say. Definitely going to be something that if this race continues to go green, it'll be a hard task unless Peterson makes a mistake. But talk about, well, I guess we'll go start going through the field and start. We'll keep our eye on this battle here, but you know, start looking throughout the field and drivers who've kind of made it through this one, and that'd be Justin Michael. You kind of explained his story, and I kind of explained Greg Ball, but Tim Matthews, his car looks pretty destroyed right now. And I'm pretty surprised he's still out there, because he even had that pit road issue with, I think that was Greg Mall, who he's behind right now, has a lot of damage. And Simley's still out here logging laps, and he doesn't really have to either, because he's in a good position. He's got Bobby Terrell 13 laps behind him, and then Formosa is still out there, even though he's had his issues. So a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Just determination for these drivers to finish this race, because there's not really a lot more, except for Scott Formosa is being challenged by the two of Michael Atkins Jr. I didn't realize that was for position, so those two actually still going out for position here for 7th place.
Yeah, it looks like Atkins has got the faster truck, but he's trying to be clean when he makes his move on Scott.
Is he?
He goes down in there and gets him. Oh my goodness, Scott Formosa, what a save there. You know, it didn't look like much contact, but there was definitely some to upset that car, and Atkins backed off, got off of him, let it gather and back up, and we're going to go back racing. Here's these two trying to get by each other again. Yeah, most definitely Atkins has the faster truck, but you know, we've went so far into this race now that there's really only one groove, and we go back up to the front. It does look like Bennett and Walker are getting more and more side by side here on the entry to the corners, as Bennett, again, as we seen earlier when he was racing with Peterson, just continues to leave the door open on the inside.
Well, now you know the commentator's deal is real, and it can happen to anyone in this booth here, Kyle. So we'll see these two battle between 2nd and 3rd place, as Peterson's gone to a 30-second lead, and also looking at the two drivers, and Michael Atkins is still trying for it. Yeah, he did kind of rub the 80 the wrong way. He's really on the inside right here. He's gonna have a good shot at it, I'd say, going into turn number 3, but the 80's got the momentum on the outside, so just inside or just outside of 10 laps to go, and those guys still really racing for each position, because each point for them is just as equally important as it is to Christian Peterson. The 2's gonna knock him out of the way, completely tears him out.
Yeah, he did not care one bit about going into turn 1 that time. He just drove straight through him, knocked him up the track, and we'll see you next week. I don't expect Formosa to be able to catch back up to him with that right side damage now, as Ryan's just going to get out of the way, get out of dodge, so he doesn't get any more damage and any more bad luck in his race. So we'll have to keep an eye on this as we go through the rest of the race, but we're right outside of the 10 lap to go mark, and 2nd and 3rd is heated up just a little bit more here, Coop.
I don't think we'll see the same exchange, because that'll be teammates that have to talk to each other throughout the week whenever they go practice. It'd be like, hey, remember when you wrecked me? And that would be a fun conversation to have. But Christian Peterson getting around some lap traffic as well. It appears to be Steve Herring, who's slowing down to let him by, and it looks like that battle for 2nd still going on, but we will have 10 laps to go this time by, and is shortly wrapping itself up. This long green flag run has really dealt itself a good hand for Christian Peterson, as it almost always typically does. And then Aaron Bennett, with the kind of the way the pit strategy worked, I mean, he's still in a good position. He missed last week, but he should still be good for the points. I think he only lost 1 position, so he'd be 3rd. So realistically, he just needs to finish this one out and just run a couple more races in the top. Looks like the 3 just had a really weird wobble right there, and that showed the door open for the 88, but it's going to close it down. Just a few more laps to go.
Yeah, and you know, going and looking at Christian Peterson's line compared to, as we see Walker gets the bag of Bennett. I guess they're not teammates anymore. As Walker goes on by, he's going to clear Bennett and maybe even bring along Michael and Maul, as they're racing for 4th place and now racing for 3rd with Bennett, as Bennett slides up and he gets into Michael. Wow, these guys are really getting after it here with just over 5 laps to go.
I don't know if you know this, Barnes, but all 4 of these drivers are actually teammates here in this little pack behind Christian Peterson. So it's the Young Gun Motorsports fighting against each other well behind Christian Peterson. Episode 1 here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. We'll have 6 laps to go, and yeah, those two are going to have some fun things to talk about. I saw the move, and I knew he was going to definitely give him a nudge, but I didn't think it was going to be that hard. But the 12 of Greg Maul was also looking on the inside. He's going to get so loose that he's going to have to back out of it. So that's probably going to be it for him. He's probably going to have to settle for 5th place. Right here is Tim Matthews is coming to his outside. 5 laps to go. Things got a hell of a lot of interesting now.
Well, that's what we talked about earlier. I mean, this is such a momentum track. Ball makes 1 mess up out of turn 2, and it brings Matthews, who was over a second back from him, back into the picture. Of course, Ball now back on his track, back on his racing line. It looks like he's going to pull back away, but this is just such a momentum track that if you make 1 mistake, it's just going to ruin your race. And that's one thing that Peterson has not done all night long, and that's why he's out to such a huge advantage. I mean, if you take a look at Peterson's line compared to 2nd through 6th, it looks like he's on a cakewalk. He's letting off right after the flag stand. He's waiting really late to get back into it, whereas everybody else is diving it down into the corners as hard as they can and just matting it coming off. You know, it's almost hilarious to watch.
Number 3 of Aaron Bennett on the inside, still trying to get around the 87 of Justin Michael, and right now that battle is all but ring the bell, because we'll have just 2 laps to go here soon. 3 laps this time by, and 2 laps, or sorry, it is 2 laps this time by. While the white flag this time by, I can't count, Kyle, but Aaron Bennett still trying to make that inside wide work on the 87.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he tries to make a desperate move here to get back to 3rd, or whether he's just going to settle for 4th. You know, they might be teammates, but I'm sure he's probably aggravated with the way Walker racing down into 1, even if it was an accident. They're going to have a team meeting here, as we see Christian Peterson going into turn 3, and he's going to come off turn 4 for the checkered flag here, Coop.
Coming out of turn number 4, Christian Peterson might as well be known as the Myrtle Beach King with these guys, as he dominates in the late runnings of it. Didn't not do it in the early runnings, got himself up to the field and masterfully tames Myrtle Beach, as, like you said, a very tough track to drive around, and Peterson does an excellent job of getting to the front and getting a big lead before it was all over. I think making it look a little bit bigger than it was, or it was a little bit smaller than it was earlier, but he still nonetheless gets the job done, and he will celebrate here in the front of Myrtle Beach. He'll park it right down in front, and I think he'll try and do a burnout right in front of us. Yes, he will. So number 23 definitely deserves what he's getting right now, the burnout, and then looks like the number 23 will get another victory on the season. I do believe that'll be his 4th win of the season, so he'll tie Seth the Merchant for total wins on the season, and we'll go through the full field rundown of how your favorite drivers finish. So Christian Peterson finishes 1st, with JB Walker finishing 2nd, then Justin Michael 3rd, Aaron Bennett 4th, Greg Mall finishing in the 5th position, Tim Matthews 6th, Michael Atkins Jr. finishes 7th. 8th place goes to Scott Formosa, and I think Peterson just destroyed the truck right there. And then Lewis Robinette finishes 9th, and 10th goes to George Hendricks. Randy Tessar finishes the last car on the lead lap, 11th, and the rest of these guys laps down. John Jenkins, Robert Gallenwater, Stephen Herring, and Tommy Ryan. That's your top 15. Scott Simley, Bobby Terrell, Rich Jetty, Joshua Banks, and Jeff Ryan. That's your top 20. And the rest of these drivers were over 100 laps down. Matt Maher, Michael Priester, Randy Oakham, Brian Cutts, Dwayne Dunn, Chris DeVoe, and then, as we said earlier, Seth Merchant did not start the race. So we will take a moment and we'll talk to your top 3, Christian Peterson, Jimmy Walker, and Justin Michael, when we come back in just a moment. You've been watching the Myrtle Beach, or you've been watching the BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series at Myrtle Beach.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Welcome back to Myrtle Beach, as we will talk to your winner, which is Christian Peterson. Christian, you win once again. This is your 4th win on the season. You are actually very close, if not already in on points. Of course, you'll have to make the rest of the season for the chase in this series, the playoffs format for these guys. And I think you did it in a lot quicker fashion than you were expecting, but you got some tracks that were really, really good to you. This track in particular, we kind of know you've got just a little bit of time on the sim in this at this track, but talk to us about how your race went in general and how you kind of messed up your burnout in the back straightaway. I'm just kidding, buddy.
That's a good one. No, I definitely the race, the setup was really like bouncy, and it was really had to drive it in pretty easy to get it to stay where you wanted it. So I was pretty keen on running the bottom there, like you guys saw. So I was driving it in probably like, you know, car length and a half earlier than everybody else, and just making sure I got down to the bottom and try to conserve my tires that way, because I knew I was probably going to be hurting them a tiny bit with shifting the way I was. But I think the shifting actually helped just bring the wear like more even front to back. So you guys obviously saw I got a little free there on that long run battling Jamie after I got my my pit road penalty, but we got new tires, and the thing was pretty hooked up on the bottom there at the restart, so we made the best of that.
Yeah, and looking at the way you were running, it was definitely Kyle noted that it was a lot different from you know, any of the other drivers. It was just it was a very unique driving style. But I think a question I was really looking forward to asking you is how this truck handles differently than the super trucks that you do on the Wednesday nights, because you're so experienced in those, and you're not undefeated there, but you're pretty darn close, and you've got a handle on those trucks. What's the difference between the two, if much at all?
Not sure. There's definitely a difference. I mean, obviously we had a fixed setup tonight, so there was no adjusting that, but yeah, I think the super trucks had to have some weight added to them too as well, so that plays a part, and it almost gives them a little bit more rear grip. Like you can attack the setup a little bit more, and that with the more weight, and just try to plant it on the right rear. But same kind of driving style for the most part. You guys saw how entering real high in 3 and 4, or into 3, cutting it down in the center and getting a big runoff was paying off for me. And I don't know if anybody else was trying that, but I was able to take that away from that series, and definitely all those laps definitely helped for tonight.
Well, Christian, I think the last question I'll ask you is, you know, with it being you're being really close on points, you know, I think you beat Chris, you beat Mark Recur, which were drivers you really need to get points on. Chris was the last driver in, and you're about I'd say about 50-odd points, so you're not quite there, but you'll be close. What race in the future will be that race that you think that'll really propel you forward? Because next week's Daytona, and that might actually set you back.
Yeah, that one's definitely going to just try to be a survival fest, and try to finish top 5 and not have what happened to me at Dayuga happen again. But just try to, yeah, I mean, just making the chase is the ultimate goal. So I think we got Watkins Glen coming up sometime soon here. I'm looking forward to that one. I think there's some other, I don't know if we got any other short tracks. I know there's not like USA or anything like that, or another Myrtle Beach kind of track, but or Richmond, or I'm not sure. Some short tracks will definitely be my wheelhouse, my preferred wheelhouse. But yeah, we're gonna try to make it work even at all the tracks.
Well, Christian, we will talk to you in the near future between whichever league we see you get in the top 3 next, and so we will see you then.
All right, thanks, Austin.
All right, we'll move down into the pit road area, and Don't believe that Jamie is here, but I'll talk to Justin here. Justin, you get 3rd place tonight, and talk with us about your race. You had a really pretty banged up race truck, and you still somehow came out 3rd. Kind of explain what happened out there for you.
Yeah, I never ran this track till about 10 minutes before the race started, so I mean, it was a good race, I guess, for lack of practice, but Christian was on a rail out there. That boy, I don't think anybody was going to touch him. Even if we pitted and he didn't, and we had 20-lap fresher tires, I don't think we would have got by him.
Well, the experience does. I don't know how much time how much time he's got, but he's got a little bit more than the rest of the field on the track. But I'll tell you that looking at the battle between you and Jamie, and then you and Aaron, and then Greg as well, that was really fun to watch, especially since all 4 of you are teammates. Kind of talk with us how it was racing with your teammates in such close quarters at a track like this.
You know, it's fun and terrifying at the same time, because you don't want to wreck your teammates, and you know, you don't want them to wreck you, but you want to have fun with them. So I don't know. If it's not for if it's just for fun, I say, you know, go at it. But I'm always scared to death of doing that and turning somebody, because I almost got into Greg there, I think, on one of the starts, and I know Jamie and Aaron got together, and that helped me get into 3rd. So, or else I would have finished 4th. So.
Well, Justin, you got yourself a good race. I'd say better than you might have expected with having the small amount of time in the sim, and definitely you hit the wall down, I think, a little bit more times than you'd want to, but you still somehow get away with 3rd. And who makes that happen for you on the number 87 machine?
Yeah, you know, just 511 Tactical, AR15.com. We always have to support our Second Amendment rights. And, you know, Aaron and all the guys over at Young Gun Motorsports. And apparently I just received a text message, and I got a couple people watching the stream. So, you know, shout out to Chip, Henry, and if Brad's out there watching too. So, so that's all. And thank everybody else for watching. Thank you guys for calling a good race.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure, between now and maybe later on in the season before the chase. So we might talk to you then.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, and I think we might get one more person here, Cisco. I'm not seeing anyone in our transfer room except for Christian. Well, of course, we ought to talk to him. So we will kind of have some finishing thoughts here. Kyle, we think we kind of already got the gist of just how dominant Christian was when he got out there at the start. But you did say this was a very short tracky style race, and with 11 trucks on the lead lap, it was something to be expected. But I guess for your first race in the booth, and a track that you're very familiar with, it was seemed kind of natural for you. But maybe we put you in the booth for like a Watkins Glen race later in the future.
Definitely not any road courses. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll probably be back on. I really enjoy helping yourself, Cisco, Evan out. You guys do a great job helping us out and helping all the leagues out. So anytime I can return the favor is always nice. So I'm sure I'll be back. Just don't know when. We'll see what happens. But yeah, as far as the race goes tonight, absolutely fantastic race in there towards the end. We had a few mishaps towards the beginning, but that's to be expected on a short track like this. So really proud of everybody for putting on a good show, and hopefully they continue to do that throughout the season.
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight for tonight's Myrtle Beach 200 here at Myrtle Beach. And remember, you're watching the BNC Lawn Landscape Truck Series. They'll be here every Saturday going forward. And then you'll have basically our weekly dose. If you want to go to livesimracing.com, you can check out everything that we're going to be doing in every single week. We got a double headers on Saturday, and then you'll roll on to next week. Monday will be the Icebreaker Series, and we got the Pro Series on Tuesday, and then our Simulation Series, which is Kyle's series, and you'll have that on Wednesday. And Thursday we'll have Upstate, and then we'll have the Super Speedway 500 next Friday, which will be a fun race, and I'll be there. I'll be in a car, hopefully, probably not upside down, but we'll see. And we will see you whenever those races come up. So from all of us here at LSRTV, we say thank you. I've been Austin Coop, Kyle Barnes, Cisco Carmouza, and then from the team at home, Evan, DJ, Laura, and the entire crew that makes it all happen. We will see you at the next track.